All right, good morning. Welcome into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shelley, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Glad to have you starting your week off with us. It's the first day of the week and month for June. It's the third all day long. Today, right now, we're at 8:15 Central Time. Let's take a look and see how the overnight market's shaped up for us. Not too great for corn and beans, but wheat, that's another story. Let's take a look at corn and bring up that corn board. And that's going to show us just a little bit of a gain, 2.25 cents better, 448.5 is last. That's a half cent off the high of the day in July, and we had, let's call that about a 6.25 cent range. Moving out to the new crop D's, 2.25 cents better there to 469.25. And again, we had about a 6-cent range. That's corn. Let's see about beans. Beans were a little lower, I think, 7 something lower. Yeah, 7.75 cents lower. Trying to get back up to that $12 handle in July. 11.97.25 is last. We had it overnight at one point in time. The high is 12.05.5, but 11.97.25 is where we finished up that session. Going out to the new crop, no, 11.79.5 is last there. We were down a nickel. We'll see if we can regain that $12 handle too. But again, 11.79.5 is just about 6 cents off the high of the day out there. Moving out to the wheat, this is where we saw the big gains. 18.5 cents better in that wheat. July in Chicago, 6.97 is last, and that's just 3 ticks off the high of the day. And if you move out to the D's, that's up 18.25 cents overnight to 741.75. And again, that's only about 3 ticks off the high of the day, 0.75 cents off the high. So we had decent ranges of almost 20 cents in both of those. We had a 20-cent range in July. So that's what we're going to kick off the day. Again, about 18, 19 cents better, and that's Chicago wheat. Moving out to the hard red in Kansas City. What's that got? Well, it's similar gains. 19.25 cents better there in July. 7.28 last. We finished on the high of the day. And the overnight's D's, that's up 18 cents to 7.59. And 3/4, and that's just a tick off the high of the day there. And again, we had some decent ranges, of about 16 cents, 17 cents. So that's not too bad. That's hard red in Kansas City. Let's move out to see what the spring wheat had for us. A 16-cent better gain there to 7.55 3/4. That's the July contract. That was the high. These 16 cents better there to 7.80 3/4, and that too was the high. We had about a 10-cent range, maybe a little bit more depending on what you're looking at, but that's not too bad. That's spring wheat. How about we go to the cotton market? This can't catch a break, can it? 105 points lower there in July to 75.10. The D's down 75 cents to 74.36. We need to put about 10 cents on this stuff real fast. We need some 80s across that board. All right, let's bring him in. It's Mr. Brian Hoops. He's the president of Midwest Market Solutions, Springfield, Missouri. Thanks. Good morning. Happy week, month to you. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? It's really right now. It looks like a wheat party.
Hey, good morning, Scott. Yeah, it does. News is pretty friendly for U.S. wheat prices as Russia's drought continues. Their winter wheat crop is expected to receive some rains last week, and those rains really did not materialize. And so that helped to support our rally here. And then forecast is coming out with drier and hotter conditions. Once again, that further looks to hurt the Russian wheat crop. So our wheat values are reacting to it. The problem will be when we try and sell wheat at these higher price levels. We're going to have a tough time moving it because we're not very competitively priced on the world marketplace. And harvest is starting here in the U.S. and Texas, and we'll move farther north over the coming weeks. And the forecast looks good for our harvest as temperature is going to warm up considerably, and that'll help speed that harvest along. So that's really the main focus of the market. Otherwise, corn and soybeans were kind of drifting lower until the wheat really took off. Corn bounced off support overnight. Beans, well, they closed out their lows. They're still lower. One of the things I looked at closely Friday was the commitment traders reports, and it's interesting to note that the funds kind of covered most all their shorts a couple weeks ago. They were long just a few contracts of corn, and now they're back into the sell mode, putting the positions back on. And, seasonal highs usually second, third week of June, so we're not that far away from a normal high. We may get a little secondary rally here with help from the wheat market, but it's interesting the funds are not real interested apparently in going net long. They're back into the sell mode pretty quickly, establishing about 51,000 contracts last week of net shorts in the corn market.
Yeah, I've already heard people talk about what we're going to get out of the end of month report in June and see if there's something bullish there. And then obviously the wild card, the joker in that hand is going to be weather. But at the same time, you say that, we talk about how much the grazing has gotten better for cattle because of the wet weather that they've had out west. And I mean, that water at some point in time, that precip has made that drought map look a lot better. And at some point in time, that water could be a bearish story, right?
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, all this moisture is sitting in the ground and across, the states of Iowa and Illinois. A lot of subsoil moisture that's been restored, so we can withstand some, heat and some dryness for a period of time. The forecast, unfortunately, is below normal temperatures for the next 10 days, so that's going to kind of slow down the emergence. But the trade mentality is rain makes grain until we're proven otherwise. And so, looks like we're going to get the crop seeded. This afternoon's report will show the first good to excellent ratings of the year for corn and for spring wheat. The normal rating is about 70% good to average, good to excellent. We could be just a little bit above that this afternoon, maybe 72, 73% good to excellent in the corn crop. And it's, not completely seeded, but there's probably another 10% or so to go. Till we get that corn crop in the ground, and then it's all about weather. And as you said, end of the month we could see some positioning, but I think that the trade and focus is going to be on that rain makes grain mentality.
And here we go again. I'm wishing my life away. It always happens that way. All right, stay right there though. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Brian Hoops right after this. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about how the livestock did closing out the end of the week last week. We'll take a look and see where these prices were at the end. It's also end of the month, so. Let's take a look at what was kind of a quiet to lower trade in live cattle. They closed June down $1 to 181.55, and not too far off the low of the day there of 181.17. So you go out to say even the D's, that was down $1.12 to 184.65. So we were off between say $1 and $1.32 across the board in live cattle. So it was a negative day, but not a disaster. We had again the same here in the feeders, a little bit more pressure to the downside, $2.67 lower. In August, we closed at 256.40. I guess, I don't know, 60 cents off the low of the day there. And we had almost, what's that going to be, about $3.20 range, 60 cents off the low of a $3.20 range, I guess gives you the idea about how we traded. Nova was down $2.37 to 258.85. All right, so that's feeder cattle. Lean hogs, well, what did they do for us over there? Well, they didn't get the memo. They bucked the trend again. June traded up a little bit, 37 cents higher to 94.35, and that was only 25 cents off the high of the day. All right, let's bring it back in. That's Brian Hoops, president of Midwest Market Solution. Brian, how's it look this morning? What do you think?
Yeah, the cattle market, the problem has been last 3 days, we've opened higher, and then as soon as that higher opening bell was printed, first 10 minutes or so, selling came into the market, and we just could never recover. Now the fundamentals are not all that great for this cattle market. We're back to full kill weeks, and that's hurting our cutout values, hurting packer margins. They're negative about $26 a head. Cash trade was a little bit softer and disappointing last week. So some of this news is negative for the cattle market this morning. Trade's probably going to be looking for show list numbers where they come in at today as will give us a little direction into the midday and into the closing bell. Seasonals are higher for cattle in here, so usually we see some sort of a rally, both live and feeders. I know a lot of people are holding out hopes for that as we've had this technical correction over the last week. So news hasn't been great. Really what's going to give us the direction, I think, is that first 10, 15 minutes of trade. If we can absorb that selling and start to trade higher into 9 o'clock, 9:30, we should be able to close higher as well. But it really depends on how much of that selling comes in and pressures values.
I was just wondering because we had such a stonking late rally in equities on Friday. They really took off towards the close. I think they were marking their books for end of month, but was wondering if we were going to see any trade that way when it comes to the cattle when we were open up here this morning, but it doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, we may get a little spillover from that, but and maybe there was some position in the cattle market too because it was the end of the month, a little pressure, a little profit taking or whatever. That could give us some buying interest maybe again this morning, repositioning at values at cheaper levels than what they sold at last week, Thursday and Friday. So we'll see. But really, I think the key is going to be that first 10, 15 minutes of trade if we can absorb that selling and then move higher after that.
All right, brother, buckle up. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Happy Monday morning to you. That's Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Springfield, Missouri. Bring it back here and say good morning. And hand it back over to you, Suzanne.
Thank you so much. Of course, new week, new month. Hopefully good news to come.